Preston asks, if you were only allowed to eat one type of dish for the next year, what dish of food would you choose and why? You know, any food, if you eat it for a year, is gonna taste awful by the end. But I'm gonna say pizza, because you know what? You could do so many different kinds of pizza. Like, literally. Like, there's so much that you can do. Like, I've seen people, like, at work, we sell cheeseburger pizzas, which sounds kind of weird, and yet it might be interesting, because it's just, like, hamburger and, like, cheese and whatever, and I feel like that would be really good. So you could do a lot of different toppings. Like, you could even make, like, breakfast pizzas, dessert pizzas. So, yeah, we're going with pizza, because you know what? I mean, maybe I would have to take a little bit of a break from pizza by the end of that year, but you can't beat pizza. Pizza is just so good. Speaking of pizza, Blue asks, what is your opinion of pineapples on pizza? Pineapples on pizza is amazing. Whoever thought it wasn't amazing, well, screw you. I mean, like, okay, like in all seriousness, I don't get what's wrong with pineapple on pizza. It tastes really, really good. Especially if you're doing like a Hawaiian kind of pizza with like, you know, ham and whatever. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with pineapple on pizza. So, I mean, I don't understand the people who say they don't. I mean, if you don't like pineapple on pizza, maybe I can forgive you for that. Because, you know, it's just one small error. I'm sure you're perfect in every other regard. Anyway. Christine asks, if you're going to be left stranded on an island but could take 5 books with you, which ones would you bring? I would take, well, the obvious choice would be the Bible, because, you know, you probably wouldn't need it if you're going to be stranded on an island. Like, how long am I being stranded on this island anyway? That's what I would like to know. I was going to say an encyclopedia, but the pages, like, just for, like, fire, if I needed, like, you know, to help fires. Let me start again. I would take an encyclopedia to, like, help make campfires, because, you know, if you add a paper in there, then it can, like, catch easier. Except, I don't know if, like, the encyclopedia paper is, like, too glossy to work, so maybe, like, a dictionary. One of those. Just to, like, have some fuel for the fire. And the other 3 books, that's a tough choice. I would take my book of the Homelander series by Andrew Clavin, because it's like all 4 books in one, so I'd take that. I would take... This is another tough question. Christine, why did you give me tough questions? Ah! I would take the first Beyonders book by Brandon Mull, A World Without Heroes. And then my last book would be Moonblood, I guess. I really can't pick just 3, but I mean, or whatever. But if I had to take only 5 books, then those would be the ones I would take. Gotta fix my hair. Out of all the... Oh, sorry. Brianna asked, out of all the books you've read this year, which one is your favorite so far? I would have to say my favorite has definitely been... It's a toss-up between Moonblood and The False Prince. Because, like I said, Moonblood really connected with me as, like... It connected with me with its themes, and it was just a very good story overall. But The False Prince is also good because it was a fast read, like it was a reread, but it's written in a way that you can like devour it quickly. And I love Jennifer A. Nielsen's sense of humor in there. Like it rings with me so well. I just love the humor in that, and like the twists and turns the plot takes, which I mean, some might say are predictable, but I really enjoyed them. Like especially the first time that I read the book. So, yeah, that's definitely... It's a toss-up between one of those books. I can't choose one of them. I have to say it's a toss-up. Andy asks, favorite animal? I don't really have a favorite animal. I kind of used to, but I don't know if I really do anymore. I used to say they were like, that lions were my favorite animal. I'm not sure why anymore. If we're going with like made up animals, like dragons are obviously really cool. But real animals, I guess maybe. This is really your face. Maybe. I'm probably overthinking this. I think. Let's go with like a cute panda or a sloth or something, because you know those animals are adorable, or whatever. Some of the cute animals. One of those. I don't have a favorite. I don't know. I just admitted to liking cute animals, which, whatever. I'm okay with that. Like, who could resist a soft panda or whatever? That's like, they're so adorable. I don't know why I'm talking like this. Just more of my weirdness showing through. But yeah, panda babies are really cute. Megan asks, in general, do you think long-haired or short-haired cats are cuter? I don't know. I can't really tell the difference between the two. I haven't like examined enough cats close to be like, okay, you're a long-haired cat, you're a short-haired cat. Which one do I like better? I don't know. Maybe short-haired. I don't own a cat. I don't be with cats enough to say a good enough answer. So that's as good as you're gonna get. Sorry. Preston asks, what is the most difficult video game that you've ever played? Okay, let's clarify. What do we mean by difficult? Do we mean difficult by how much it tested my patience and by how frustrating it was with different things like controls and plot and whatever? Or difficult as in how many times I've died in the game? Because those are very different responses. If we're going with how many times I've died, Titan Souls is a very difficult game. I don't know if you guys have heard of it before, but basically the premise is that you are this guy or girl. Actually, I don't even know. They don't really specify the gender, and it's hard to tell. I think it's a guy. Anyway, the character that you have has one arrow that they use to fight these titans. So you know you have to like shoot your arrow, but you can like call it back to you, and it can hurt the enemies on the return trip. But you also only have one health. So it makes the game like super difficult. I'm still stuck on the 4th boss in the game. I've only defeated like the first 3 and what is it, like that? I actually don't know how long I played. Geometry Dash is also a hard game because, you know, well, you have to get your timing just right. And what's annoying is that sometimes for me, like Steam or the game glitches out. And so then, like, the music and the environment are slightly off. And, like, sometimes you have to be following the music because, like, the beats will go with when you're supposed to be jumping. Or, like, when the drop comes in the song, then, like, the environment changes. And so if it's, like, off, then it's a bit annoying. So, yeah. I would have to say something like that. I've also died a lot in A Link to the Past, which is a Legend of Zelda game, if you don't know. I don't know why, I just died a lot in the first dungeon. I think I'm getting better now. But, yeah. And if we're talking about frustration-wise, Twilight Princess HD has definitely made me very frustrated. But that's a topic for another time, because if I start getting into that now, we're gonna have a rant, and we don't need a rant when we're supposed to be celebrating, right? Anyway, Blue asks, what are the top 3 things you learned last year? Okay, so I'm gonna count, like, last year as, like, my college year. I don't know. Yeah, because I went to college from 2016 to 2017. So I don't know specifically what I learned when. But, 3 top things that I've learned last year. One would definitely be about stress and the fact that you have to, like, the reason you get stressed is because you're focusing on too many things and your brain gets overwhelmed because you're trying to do too much at once, and it puts you into, like, it gets you in a bad spot mentally. So you have to focus on, like, okay, what can I do right now? And that actually happened with me the day at work, because I go in and I find out I'm the only one scheduled for 3 different departments, and that kind of got me a little miffed and stressed. So, because it was like, I have to make sure I listen for all the calls, I have to do everything that normally 2 people do, and whatever. So I had to go, okay, what can I do right now? How can I focus just on the present right now? Because some people, they say, you know, don't live just for the moment and whatever, and maybe that's true sometimes, but you also have to consider sometimes you have to immerse yourself just in the moment because your brain goes too far ahead in advance. So you have to make sure that you balance between, like, planning ahead, but also you have to make sure you don't ignore what's happening right now, right in front of you. So yeah, that's definitely one thing. Something else that I've learned is I've learned a lot of things, so I have to, like, try to think of what I'm gonna say. Another thing that I've learned is that there's no such thing as a perfect job. Like, you might think, okay, like, this job, like, even if it's your dream job, it's not gonna be perfect every day. Like, you can't expect any job to be absolutely perfect, because the job I was working at right now, I'm like, hey, when I started working there, I was like, this is a really good job, like, I can't see much wrong with this. But as I've gone on, I was like, okay, well, there's this and there's this, and I had to realize, okay, there's no such thing as a perfect job. Like, you can't expect to be totally in love with what you do as your work for, like, 100% of the time, because that's not going to happen. That's really bad expectations. So, yeah, you have to realize that there is no job that's amazing in every single way possible. So you have to be content with that. But that also, when I say that, I also don't mean, like, don't necessarily settle for a job that's awful, because there are jobs out there where it's like you need to get out of there because, like, the environment is bad, or like there's toxic employees. Like, sometimes you have to get away from a job. Even if it's like, you have to balance. It's another balance between, like, unreasonable expectations and, like, also not letting yourself get walked all over, or, you know, being in an environment that's bad or whatever. You have to be careful either way. And then the last thing I've learned is, I guess, is making goals and sticking with them, which I haven't been always good at. No, actually, no, I'm gonna change that. I mean, like, that's obviously that's a good thing to learn too. A good thing that I learned. But I have to say, my whole experience with Digital Pulse has definitely taught me a lot. It's taught me things like, you know what, not everyone, like, there is an audience for your art, but there are also people who will not appreciate your art like others do. And I think that's kind of what happened with Digital Pulse, because the judge I got didn't like my story, and I thought it'd been really good. And I was really bummed out about it for a while, but then with others helping me and encouraging me, I came to the realization that, you know, it's not necessarily for everyone, and I have to be okay with that. But at the same time, like, I could take some of the criticisms that she gave, because, like, there were some good ones. There were some good points that I can take, and things that could naturally be fixed in the normalization of Digital Pulse. But I had to like take it with with a grain of salt. Like, you have to take it and be like, okay, like, listen to the criticism, but also try to think, okay, so is this person just not the right person for my story? Because, I mean, you can't obviously be like, Oh yeah, I'm always right. Anyone who critiques my stories or my art or whatever, like, they're always wrong. Like, you can't have that mentality either. That's a bad one to have, because you won't be able to accept constructive criticism even when sometimes you really, really need it. So, like the other things I've said, there has to be a balance between the two. And also just the fact of, like, the whole theme of Digital Pulse, which was love means letting go. That definitely was something I had to learn last December when I talked about it in my Almost Fatal post. Yeah, I had to let my adopted sister go, and that was just, I've had to deal with that, and I think Digital Pulse definitely helped me. Digital Pulse is like my journey in that regard, which I think is kind of really cool when you know, you can put yourself into a story so much that you read it and it's like, this is like an exaggerated version of what I've been through. So that's a very long answer to a great question. Like I said, all the questions are great. Just because I mentioned one is great doesn't mean that the rest aren't. But yeah, I hopefully that all is coherent and makes sense.